Revealed, billionaire heir hidden in plain sight as a simple worker, discovers unexpected love. Jack Thompson woke every day to the symphony of clanging wrenches and the comforting scent of motor oil. In Cedar Grove, he was just the guy who fixed cars. No one knew about the lavish mansion where he grew up or the fortune tied around his neck like an anchor. To the townsfolk, he was a mechanic with a kind heart, a dedicated worker who bled grease and delivered smiles. Yet, deep inside, he was a man forged in the fire of family pressure, choosing a tool belt over designer suits. One chilly afternoon, Sarah Mitchell pulled her battered sedan up to Thompson's auto repair. The rust and dents on her car mirrored the struggles she faced as a single mother, working multiple jobs to provide for her 2 young kids. With apprehension, she shared her story as Jack tinkered under the hood. A beautiful connection began to blossom. They both dreamed of better tomorrows, sipping coffee and trading aspirations for their children's futures. In those moments, he felt a warmth that no amount of money could buy, but like a storm cloud on a sunny day, everything changed in a heartbeat. Jack's phone rang, a number he had tried to forget. It was his father. "Come home, Jack. The family needs you." Those words were a blaring siren pulling him back to a life he escaped. The weight of his past crashed into the sanctuary he had built in Cedar Grove, tightening around his chest until he could barely breathe. Feeling lost, Jack wrestled with guilt. He wanted to be there for Sarah, yet the allure of his father's wealth tugged at him like a siren's call, promising power, prestige, and an easy life. In a swirl of doubt, he ignored the nagging voice reminding him of the freedom he craved. But then rumor swept through the mechanic's shop like wildfire. A client, whose tongue had a habit of wagging, blurted out Jack's lineage. Sarah's face twisted with betrayal, her trust shattered. Jack felt his world crumbling. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Jack stood in the break room, the smell of burnt coffee wafting through the air, his mind racing. He wanted to scream, to explain that he had fought hard for this life, away from his family's grip. But with each passing second, Sarah's hurt echoed through his thoughts. As families began gathering, whispering about his return, he felt like a puppet caught in the strings of expectation. In that moment of greatest impact, Jack found himself standing before Sarah, eyes brimming with unshed tears. "I want to be that man again," he whispered, voicing the truth that felt like a prayer. Would she believe him? Would he have to choose between the woman who had become his heartbeat and a family who never truly understood him? Could love really bridge that gap, or would it slip away like the oil on his hands? The questions hung heavy in the air, and as Jack stood poised to make a decision, the answer felt perilously close yet impossibly out of reach. Jack's heart hammered in his chest as he watched Sarah's expression shift. Rage and disbelief danced in her eyes, flipping the warmth they had just shared into an ice-cold chasm. He knew he needed to reach her, to pull her back from that edge of hurt, but every word he spoke felt inadequate. "Sarah, please let me explain," he pleaded, stepping closer. He could see the walls around her heart building higher, made of hurt and suspicion. She hesitated, her gaze flicking to the mechanics bustling around them, the chatter of the shop a muted backdrop to their crisis. "Why didn't you tell me?" she demanded, her voice trembling. The compassion that had woven their bond was threatened by the truth of his identity, a hidden world that felt foreign and bewildering. "I thought you would see me differently." "I didn't want to be that person," Jack replied, desperation lacing his voice. "I love my life here, Sarah. I love you. I can't go back to that world." Sarah's expression softened for just a moment, but then her resolve hardened again. "You have everything, Jack. And I have nothing. I can't compete with." She choked back her words, pain radiating off her. "Compete? Sarah, It's not about that at all. Jack's emotions spilled over. This us, it's real. What we have is worth more than anything money can buy. With a heavy sigh, she shook her head, stepping back as if the space between them could erase the chasm that opened with his revelation. No, Jack. You live in a world I don't understand. I can't go back to being just someone you love. I have children who look to me for stability. If you can swap lives at the drop of a hat. She trailed off, hurt distorting her features. Jack felt the ground shift beneath him. The gravity of her words sank deep. He had spent years avoiding his wealth, but here it was again, standing between them like an impenetrable wall. You don't know what my life truly is. I was trapped, suffocated by expectations, and I escaped. I'm here because I want to be. But for how long? The quiet tremor in her voice cracked him open. He could hear doubt thread itself through her words as she glanced around the garage, a sense of belonging found in these broken cars and people, his world, not hers. Forever, he said, a fierce intensity igniting his voice. I've always wanted to be free. It doesn't matter if I have money or not. I think I've finally found what I want in life, and it's you. The moment hung between them, heavy with uncertainty. The weight of the crowd shifted, eyes darting curiously, and he knew that every cued mechanic was tuned into their drama. Jack took another step closer, his palms outstretched, as if hoping to weave their hearts back together with sheer will. You mean that? Sarah whispered, her voice cracking slightly. For a moment, hope flickered in her eyes. Yes, Sarah. More than you know. But as he reached her, the sound of a revving engine broke the air, pulling their attention away. A client in a luxury car pulled into the lot. One Jack recognized from his family's circles. That familiar feeling of dread gripped him again. He cursed under his breath. He didn't want to face that world now. The tension in his gut tightened. Would it all come crashing down again? Jack. Sarah's voice sliced through his internal chaos, full of uncertainty. What will this mean for us? As he gazed into her pleading eyes, he knew he stood at a precipice, choice looming before him like a shadow. Would he embrace the complexities of their love, or would he let her go, haunted by the contours of lives and dreams yet to unfold? The choice loomed, and that despair chased him. Could their love withstand the storm heading their way? Jack's heart raced as the sleek car pulled into the lot, its engine growling like a predator. For a fleeting moment, he forgot about Sarah. The polished exterior felt like a pipeline to the life he had tried to leave behind. Each gleaming surface reflected his turmoil, the shame and embarrassment threatening to swallow him whole. As the driver stepped out, Jack recognized him immediately. It was a face he hadn't wanted to see today. David, a longtime family friend and an even larger thorn in his side. The kind of guy who thrived in the upper echelons of high society, looking down at everyone else from the penthouse. Jack's stomach twisted as he imagined David spreading the news of his whereabouts to their mutual circles. Hey Jack. Is that you? David called out, his voice cheerful but laced with condescension. Jack felt Sarah tense beside him, and the warmth of their moment faded. Yeah, it's me, Jack replied, forcing a smile that felt brittle on his lips. David's gaze shifted from Jack to Sarah, taking in her worn, comfortable clothes, the grease-stained apron she wore as she wiped her hands on a rag. I didn't realize you were working here. Is it fun? The sarcasm dripped from his words like poison. Jack's heart sank. He wanted to lash out, to protect her from this judgment, but instead, he stayed silent, every cruel word from David making the rift between him and Sarah seem wider. I'm where I want to be, he managed, finding his voice amid the chaos in his head. Ah, freedom. Nothing like rejecting privilege, huh? David chuckled, shaking his head as he began walking toward the office in the garage, completely dismissing Sarah. Come on, Jack. I heard your dad's looking for you. You know he'll never stop until you take the reins. With each step David took, Jack felt the warmth of possibility grow colder. It was easier to walk away, to escape into his past, but Sarah's eyes, shimmering with concern, anchored him. She needed him to stand firm. Wait. Sarah's voice broke through the tension, sharp and clear. I may not know your world, but I know what it means to work hard for every single thing. Don't let him talk down to you like this. Jack couldn't help but smile at her bravery, feeling a rush of warmth wash over him despite the storm brewing outside. And just like that, the walls Sarah built began to crack slightly. David, I'm not going back, Jack said, stepping toward the luxury car. I want to let you dictate my life anymore. This is my home now. Is it? David chuckled, his grin widening, sensing the weakness beneath Jack's confidence. You think people will respect you in this place? There's nothing here for you but grease and grime. And he paused, glancing at Sarah with contempt, a woman who has simply a notch on your belt. Jack's blood boiled at the implication, but he felt Sarah's hand on his arm, steady and calming. In that touch, he found his resolve the courage he needed. You know nothing about who she is, he said, voice steady. Let us see how long this lasts, my friend, David taunted, his laughter echoing in the garage as he sauntered off, leaving a silence in his wake. As the weight of the moment settled in, Jack turned to Sarah, who stood watching him, uncertainty dancing in her eyes. I'm sorry, he said, feeling defeated. I didn't want you to see that part of my life. No, she said, her voice trembling but stronger than before. You need to show me. All of you. All the parts you're afraid of. Keep pretending only pushes me further away. Jack took a step toward her, the distance between them shrinking, but a new worry settled in his heart. What if exposing his truth would only deepen her fears? The shadows of doubt loomed heavier, and he couldn't ignore the swirling storm inside him. Can you stand with me against it all? He asked, voice soft but urgent. Or will this drive us apart? As Sarah's eyes reflected both fear and fierce determination, Jack waited, breath held, for her answer. Would she embrace the world he had tried so hard to escape, or would his past pull them apart? The silence stretched, heavy with unspoken words. Jack's heart hammered in his chest, each beat echoing with uncertainty. This was a pivotal moment. Would Sarah see the man behind the mask, or would the weight of his past crush whatever budding affection they had? He searched her face for an answer, the flicker of concern simmering beneath her brave front. I can stand with you, she finally said, a small spark of determination lighting up her eyes. But only if you're honest with me. I can't hold your hand through this if I don't know what I'm fighting against. Jack nodded slowly, gratitude flooding through him. He felt lighter already, as if her words had taken some of the heavy load off his shoulders. You're right. I've spent so long trying to forget what I come from. I've been ashamed. Ashamed? Sarah challenged gently. Why? Because of your family's wealth? It's not just that, he responded, the words rushing out now. It's what they expect of me. The business, the parties, the legacy. I don't want to play that game. But now, I'm not sure I can escape the consequences of it. Jack ran a hand through his hair, frustration boiling. And then there's David. He's always lurking, waiting to remind me of what I left behind. I can't seem to outrun my history. Sarah stepped closer, her eyes softening. But you're trying. You're here, right? You're making a life for yourself, and that matters. You're not just running away, you're building something real. Her words ignited something inside him, a flicker of hope in the shadowy corners of his thoughts. I want this, he admitted, his voice quiet yet resolute. I want you. I want us to make this work. A faint smile appeared on Sarah's lips, but it didn't fully reach her eyes. It's going to take more than just want, Jack. It's going to take hard choices. The kind that hurts. Like what? He asked, curiosity piquing despite the underlying tension. Like telling your family, she replied, her voice steady. You might have to face them sooner or later, and that means dealing with their expectations, and David. The mere thought sent a shiver down Jack's spine. He imagined sitting across the dinner table from his well-suited family, their probing questions, the disappointment sparkling like glass shards in their eyes. It felt insurmountable. "I don't think I can just walk back into that world," he said, his voice thick with doubt. "What if they pull me back in? What if I lose you in the process?" Sarah's hand tightened around his arm. "You won't know unless you try. You're not the same person you were before, you have me now. Lean on me." He looked deep into her eyes, seeing the resolve dancing there. She was unwavering, a beacon of light in a fog of confusion. Against the backdrop of his inner turmoil, Sarah stood firm, and just like that, he felt a shift within himself. "Okay," he said, a spark of determination igniting in his chest. "I'll do it. I'll face them, and you'll be by my side." Just then, the sound of laughter echoed through the garage, snapping him out of the moment. Jack turned to see a few familiar faces from the old days, friends he thought he'd left behind, caught somewhere between curiosity and judgment in their eyes. "Guess our past just caught up with us," Sarah remarked, uncertainty lacing her tone. He felt the weight press down again, the familiar dread creeping back in. In this moment, everything tilted, the old life and the new blending into something unexpected and complicated. "Stay close," Jack whispered, drawing her nearer as they stepped out of the shadows of the garage. He knew the confrontation was just beginning. As they faced the gathering crowd, Jack felt a rush of adrenaline. A moment of truth was approaching, one that would test everything he had come to know about love, acceptance, and where he truly belonged. "Let us see which path we choose," he said, glancing at Sarah. Hope mingled with fear in his heart, but for the first time, he felt ready to face it all. Would they emerge from this unscathed, or would their bond fracture beneath the weight of his past? With every step forward, the answer awaited. The laughter rose and fell like waves crashing against the shore. Jack felt his heart thud in his chest, drowning out the sound of their familiar voices. He tightened his grip on Sarah's hand, sensing the tremor in her fingers. They stepped into the light, where the crowd buzzed with a mix of excitement and surprise. "Jack!" One voice called out. The confident, booming tone belonged to Ryan, a former college friend. "Is that really you?" Jack forced a smile. "Yeah, it's me." The group had grown, bold friends surrounded him, their faces a blend of disbelief and intrigue. Eyes darted from him to Sarah, silently asking questions he knew he wasn't prepared to answer. "What is going on?" Ryan continued, stepping closer, his eyes glinting with curiosity. "You're a long way from the penthouse parties. Didn't he think you'd trade all this in for, well, whatever this is?" Jack swallowed hard. He could feel the weight of judgment pooling around them, a sea of expectations crashing down on his shoulders. Sarah's presence was a lifeline, grounding him, but uncertainty hung thick in the air. "Just exploring new opportunities," Jack replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "New opportunities?" Another voice piped up, a girl named Mia, her blonde hair bouncing as she laughed. "You mean you're working now? Is that really a thing? I thought you were just pretending." The laughter that followed felt like daggers. Flashbacks of his past life, the lavish parties, the fleeting friendships flooded through him. This world felt suffocating, yet here he was, desperately trying to breathe. "Hey, come on," Sarah said, stepping closer to Jack, her voice soothing. "He's doing what makes him happy." The crowd quieted at her statement, a mix of surprised glances exchanged. Jack could feel their skepticism, each person grappling with the idea that the wealthy heir would choose a simpler life. "But it's not just that," Jack interjected, his voice rising as he scanned the faces before him. "I've made choices. Choices I'm proud of. This is where I want to be." Sarah's been a big part of that. A beat of silence followed, the awkwardness palpable. He feared their judgment, but in defending Sarah, he realized he was defending himself. It was a small victory, but he felt it bloom within him. Wow, Ryan said, raising an eyebrow as the corners of his lips twitched in a smirk. Sounds serious. I'd say this is a side of Jack we never got to see. Maybe I was never given the chance, Jack shot back, the confidence building. What is so bad about wanting something real? Something genuine. Not just the shiny surface. Murmurs spread through the crowd, uncertainty shifting into intrigue, but David appeared, strolling in with the ease of someone who owned the room. His presence was magnetic, instantly commanding attention, and Jack's pulse quickened. Jack, David said, a sarcastic lilt in his voice, are you really trying to sell us this? You think you can just drop into our world without the connections, the influence? You'll always be one of us, no escaping that. Especially not with the past we share. Jack clenched his jaw, fear surging. This was exactly what he dreaded. The recognition of his past would echo loudly, a crescendo waiting to break. Is that what you think? Sarah stepped forward, her eyes blazing with determination. He's not running from anything. He's building a life. A life he chose. The energy shifted as the crowd absorbed her words. Some were nodding in agreement, others whispering, and Jack felt Sarah's strength flow through him, sparking a resurgence of courage. It's not about wealth or status. It's about love, about connection, Jack yelled, desperation pushing him forward. I'm not that man anymore, and I refuse to be judged by what I was. A stunned silence enveloped the group, an invisible barrier cracked just enough for hope to seep through. But as he saw David smirk, Jack knew the battle was far from over. Would he have to fight both his past and the expectations that came with it? As the tension thickened, Jack and Sarah faced their unsure crowd together, hearts racing in doubts. Lurking. Was it merely a confrontation, or would it become the pivotal moment that changed everything? Let us see what unfolds next, Jack thought, feeling the pull of destiny as uncertainty loomed ahead. Jack's heart raced as he stared into David's mocking grin. The crowd felt like a living entity, shifting and breathing with the energy of anticipation. Silence draped around them, and he could feel Sarah's unwavering support, a shield against the doubts creeping into his mind. What's your new life like, Jack? Ryan asked, breaking the silence. His tone was teasing, but Jack detected a hint of earnestness. Do you wear a uniform now, or do you still keep the designer suits? Gotta keep the image, right? Jack's cheeks burned, and his fists clenched at his sides. He wanted to reply, to shake off the condescension, but there was a steady resolve building in him. I'm more than just an image, he declared, his voice strong. I've chosen a different path. One that doesn't revolve around how much money I can flaunt or who I can impress. David stepped forward, a calculating look in his eyes. Funny how we run into old friends, isn't it? You've come to the wrong party, Jack. The life you left behind isn't going anywhere. It'll always be there, waiting for you to come back. There's nothing enticing about that life anymore, Jack replied, taking a breath. What I want is right here. He glanced at Sarah, remembering why he fought so hard to break away from his past. It wasn't about wealth, it was about finding his own truth. The murmurs turned into whispers as the crowd absorbed his words, some nodding in agreement, others frowning in confusion. Are you really happy, Jack? Mia's voice broke through, genuine curiosity shining through her earlier skepticism. Is this who you want to be? The question hung in the air, charged with weight. Jack glanced at Sarah again, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. She understood him completely. Yes, he said, lifting his chin. I'm happier than I ever was in that world of glitz and glamour. I'm living authentically, not tethered to a set of expectations anymore. Authentically? Really? David scoffed. You think they'll see that? Just a rich kid trying to play at being normal, a few months in a real job and suddenly you're a hero? It doesn't work like that. Jack's heart pounded, but he found a deep well of strength within him. I'm not here to sell anyone on my life. I'm just being honest. I don't need your validation, David. I'm tired of people assuming they know me because of my name or my family. I want more than that, more than the fake smiles and empty conversations. A flicker of shock passed through the group. Jack could sense their interest shifting, and for the first time, he felt as though he had a stake in this moment. Maybe we all need a little honesty, Sarah chimed in, her voice steady and warm. We're all just searching for connection, even in the strangest places. The crowd began to respond to her words, more people nodded, some leaning closer, eager to understand. Even Ryan's smirk faded a little, replaced with something softer. Maybe we've all been lost in our own lives, he admitted, looking around. I mean, who would have thought Jack would be here, fighting for something real? David, taken aback, glared at the shifting opinions, his confidence cracking. Jack caught the briefest glimpse of uncertainty in his eyes. This was a chance to shift the tide. I'm done pretending, Jack proclaimed, feeling the energy of the crowd rising around him. And if that means losing people who can't accept my choices, so be it. I'm ready to embrace who I really am. The crowd's energy surged as they processed his declaration. The laughter that once felt suffocating transformed into a rhythm of support, a quiet awakening in a sea of disbelief. From the back of the crowd, someone called out, "So, what's next for you, Jack?" The voice felt direct and hopeful. Jack took a moment, his chest swelling with pride and excitement. I don't know exactly, he said with a grin, but I want the chance to find out. Together with Sarah. As he spoke, he realized that the uncertainty paved a path for new beginnings. Yet just as confidence surged, Jack spotted a shadow approaching from the edge of the crowd. A figure he hoped to never see again. His heart dropped, not from fear but from the reminder that sometimes, the past does not let go so easily. Jack, David's voice was low, barely a whisper above the crowd. You think this is over? Jack squared his shoulders, ready to face whatever was coming next. Uncertainty loomed larger, but he wouldn't back down. He had a chance to break free, but just as the weight of confrontation settled once more, the figure moved closer, and Jack could feel his destiny hanging in the balance. What would happen when the past caught up with him? Would he be ready to fight again, or had he finally found a way to stand strong? The crowd shifted, anticipation hanging thick in the air like fog. Jack could see the familiar glint in David's eyes, a mix of irritation and fear. People instinctively parted, creating a small arena for the confrontation. Voices dropped to hushed murmurs while Jack's heart raced, confidence battling with the weight of long-buried memories. Did you really think you could just walk away? David continued, his tone dripping with disdain. You think they'll accept you as one of them? You're still that spoiled brat they all remember. Jack inhaled sharply, biting back a torrent of anger. No, David. I'm not that person anymore. I'm doing my best to build something real, and you can't threaten that. The anger that had boiled for so long now transformed into determination. He felt Sarah at his side, her presence grounding him. When he turned to look at her, he saw her smile, warm and inviting. A reminder of why he had fought so hard to break free. But David was relentless. He edged closer, his eyes narrowing. And what do you think you have here? Friends? They're laughing at you behind your back. You're just a curiosity to them, a joke. Something snapped inside Jack. Anger coursed through him, not just for himself but for the people who stood behind him, witnesses to this emotional showdown. They had started to see a glimpse of his truth, and he owed it to them to be honest, not just for himself, but for anyone who struggled to find where they belonged. You know what? Jack replied, his voice rising. You're right about one thing, I am different now. And if finding happiness and honesty here makes me a joke, then I'll wear that label proudly. Because I choose this. I choose real connections, and I choose Sarah. He pointed to her, and when he did, the crowd shifted closer, anticipation morphing into support. Sarah's been by my side when no one else would. She sees me, truly sees me. Not the title, not the money. Just me. A ripple of emotion washed over the crowd, and Jack could see questions flickering in their eyes, questions about their own lives, their own paths. Is this the moment when you admit you made a mistake abandoning the lifestyle we shared? David scoffed, attempting to regain control of the narrative. No, Jack shot back, stealing his resolve. The mistake was thinking that life was about the money, the parties, and my name. I was lost in that world of ego and facade. But now, I'm building something better. It's scary and uncertain, but it's all mine. The tension in the air turned electric. People began to nod in agreement, soft murmurs of support rippling through the crowd. Jack could see that his truth had struck a chord. It was more than just him reclaiming his voice, it was a collective moment of challenging norms and calling out the superficiality they had all known in some form. Let him go, David, Ryan spoke up, his voice cutting through the constant buzz. He has found something you'll never understand. Acceptance. David stepped back, confusion shadowing his typically confident demeanor. In that space of silence, Jack saw something change in the faces around him. The realization that they had all been caught in a web of expectations and pretenses. Wasn't it time to break free together, but there was more at stake than their little confrontation. Jack felt the weight of old and new ties coiling tighter. He still had to address the shadow lingering at the edge of his life, the part he had hoped was faded and forgotten. I have a long way to go, Jack admitted, gaze shifting back to David, and I need to do this without the chains of my past weighing me down. With his admission, the crowd let out a collective exhale. As Jack turned to Sarah, ready to share a hopeful future, he heard an unsettling laugh behind him. A laugh that carried with it the echoes of betrayal and unresolved issues. Good luck, Jack, David taunted, voice steeped in menace. You may have won this round, but I will be watching. Waiting for you to slip. The atmosphere buzzed with an unpredictability Jack couldn't shake. He faced the lingering figure without backing down. Bring it on, he replied, heart racing with the thrill of newfound courage yet wary of the challenges he had yet to face. What else was waiting for him in the shadows of his past? Would he be strong enough to hold on to his newfound freedom, or would the stakes be raised even higher? The laughter faded, but the tension lingered like smoke in the air. Jack turned to face Sarah, who was looking at him with concern. Her gaze searched his face for reassurance, and despite the adrenaline coursing through him, he forced himself to smile. What now? She asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack swallowed hard. He had no clear answer. The exhilaration of standing up to David faded into a gnawing uncertainty. We keep moving forward, he said, though his heart wasn't quite in it. In the back of his mind, David's threat hung like a dark cloud, ready to thunder down at any moment. A commotion stirred in the crowd as Ryan stepped forward. You know what? We should celebrate this, he said, trying to lift the energy. Let us forget about David. Look at Jack. He's choosing a better life and that's worth honoring. Applause erupted, punctured by cheers of support. Jack felt a swell of gratitude. These people didn't know the whole story, his past, his mistakes, but they were reaching out. They were willing to embrace him as he tried to rebuild. Amidst the noise, Sarah's hand found his. Her touch felt electric, grounding him against the chaos. You've already inspired them, she said, her eyes sparkling with pride. But just staying won't be enough. You have to keep proving that you're serious about this. I know, Jack replied. It was easier to let the crowd's energy sweep him away than to confront the truth that loomed behind everything. David's watchful eye, the whispers that could bubble up any moment. The pulse of excitement faded as reality seeped back in. There were no guarantees. He could lose everything again. Jack turned to the crowd, momentarily silencing the applause. I want to thank you all for standing with me. I don't know what this journey will become, but I promise you, I'll keep being honest. I'll keep showing up. The crowd responded with warmth. A few people yelled encouraging words, others clapped, creating a rhythm that echoed through him. Jack felt momentum building, but doubt clawed at him, taunting him with memories of lavish parties and backstabbing reports that had defined his earlier life. Just then, he spotted David lurking at the edge of the crowd. The sharp contrast of David's smirk cut through the moment, a reminder of the past he was trying to break free from. "We're not done, Jack," David called out, loud and clear. "This is just the beginning." Jack's breath quickened. He had to make a choice, to let fear govern him or to embrace the courage he had just found. "I'm done with you, David," Jack shouted back, and each word pushed back years of frustration and pain. "I'm building my life and I don't need you in it." The response was electric. The crowd erupted in applause, their energy a fortress around him. But as the noise surged, Jack felt the weight of David's gaze, burning in from the sidelines, feeding his doubts. "Simon," Sarah urged, squeezing his hand. "We've got to leave this behind. Let us go somewhere quiet. Just for a moment." He nodded, and together, they weaved through the crowd. Lines of supporters welcomed him, yet the strength of their cheers felt less secure as it transformed into anxiety in his chest. Once they reached a secluded corner, the noise faded. Sarah gazed into his eyes. "You did great, Jack. But it's okay to feel scared. It's okay to doubt." He met her gaze, absorbing her words like a balm for his uncertainty. "What if David comes after that, Sarah? What if everything falls apart again? I can't go back to that life. But what if it doesn't?" She countered, her voice unwavering. "What if every step you take from now on just brings you closer to genuine happiness? That's what matters more than anything." Jack opened his mouth to respond, but a sense of clarity washed over him. Maybe this was the real beginning, an authentic journey fueled by love instead of fear. Yet amidst this newfound sense, something flickered in the corners of his mind. "How do I keep building this life?" he whispered, half to her and half to himself. As if in response, the shadows at the edge of his thoughts darkened. The weight of David's threat loomed larger in his heart. Would he have the strength to face whatever came next? Or would the pull of his old life drag him back into the chaos he fought so hard to escape? Jack leaned against the wall, the cool surface grounding him as he grappled with his swirling thoughts. Sarah's presence beside him felt like an anchor, yet the nagging echoes of doubt began to morph into full-blown fears. What if David was right? What if this was just the beginning of a complicated mess? "Sarah, I'm serious. David is ruthless. What if he tries to ruin everything? My past, it's not just a shadow, it's a storm waiting to hit," he said, his voice trembling slightly. She stepped closer, her confidence radiating warmth. "And what if you don't let him? You've taken the first step, Jack. No one here can take that from you. Besides, you're not the same person you were. You have us now, a community that believes in you." Her words wrapped around him, but a voice inside whispered that support alone might not be enough. He could feel David lurking, his shadow stretching even within this calm corner. "Let us focus on what's in front of us," she suggested, breaking through his whirlwind of thoughts. "You can't change the past, but you can shape your future. Maybe we should start by talking about what you want, what makes you happy." The question hung in the air, a simple yet profound invitation to explore his own heart. Jack felt the burden of uncertainty slipping away, replaced by the spark of possibility. "I want to help others," he said slowly, each word gaining strength. "I've seen what it's like to be lost, and I want to be a part of something that guides people back to themselves." That spirited passion lit something in Sarah's eyes. "Yes. You can do that. I know a little about rebuilding community projects," he continued. "What if we started something together, like a center for people to come and get support, career help, all that?" "Yes. Imagine it. We could get others involved, host workshops, we could get people back on their feet." She paused, her excitement palpable. "You could lead the way to change, Jack. You already have." A flicker of hope ignited in his chest. It felt exhilarating to dare dream of a future, a vision that would surpass his fears, but deep down, unease whispered again, clawing at the edges of his optimism. But what if it fails? What if no one shows up? What if stop? You're doing that thing again where you let the what-ifs paralyze you. Sarah's tone was firm, but compassionate. What if you focus on today instead? One step at a time. Let us get a group together and brainstorm. Just imagine how many lives we could touch. Jack felt a wave of gratitude for Sarah's unwavering support. You really think we could do this? I absolutely do. But only if you believe it too. With a newfound determination, Jack nodded slowly, letting the potential wrap around him, squeezing out the remnants of doubt. Okay, let us do it. Let us get together a team and plan this out. Together, they walked out from the space they had been confined in, rejoining the crowd, which had swelled with hope and celebration. Jack could feel energy radiating around him, a pulse filling his veins. As they began discussing how to organize a meeting, he noticed the smiles, the genuine interest from those who had supported him. But beneath it all, Jack felt a chill when he spotted David again, standing a few feet away, arms crossed, observing with that same unsettling smirk. What is he plotting now? Jack wondered, dread pooling in his stomach. Jack. Sarah's voice cut through his haze. Are you with me? He turned to her, shaking off the chill. Yeah, let us get to work. Steeling himself, he took a step forward. He wouldn't let David cloak this light they were beginning to build. Yet even as resolve filled his heart, a piece of doubt lingered, shadowed by the certainty that David's next move would be anything but predictable. Are we really ready to face what is coming? Jack thought as they forged ahead. The path wasn't just laid out clearly ahead. It twisted and turned into the unknown, but perhaps that was where the real journey began. Would courage outweigh the chaos? Could he fend off the darkness David brought, or was it too late to escape his past? As the warmth of the bustling crowd enveloped them, Jack could feel a sense of urgency lacing Sarah's voice. Together, they had found courage, standing as a united front against the expectations of their pasts. Yet, in the corner of his mind, the looming shadow of David still flickered, tense and intimidating. Jack looked at Sarah, her eyes shining with determination, a reminder of the love that had kindled in the heart of Cedar Grove. This was more than just a new beginning, it was a pact, a promise to challenge the demons that threatened to entangle their lives. Side by side, they approached a small gathering where a few people buzzed with curiosity. Hey everyone! Jack called out, his voice steady yet infused with a tremor of excitement. We want to create something special together, something that lifts up our community. A wave of supportive murmurs washed over him as people began to lean in, intrigued by his vision. What do you have in mind? Ryan asked, his tone now warm and inviting, shifting from skepticism to hope. Jack took a deep breath, feeling the energy of the crowd anchor him. I want to establish a community center somewhere people can find support, share stories, and learn new skills. We all deserve a chance to grow. The idea flowed from him, galvanized by the faces around him, each person embodying a depth of shared experiences and dreams. I love it! Sarah exclaimed, her voice intertwining with his, amplifying the possibility. We could provide resources, mental health support, job training, anything that brings us together. As they exchanged ideas, Jack felt the collective energy surge, propelling them forward. He caught sight of David again, lurking at the periphery of their conversation, his eyes glinting with disdain. But Jack remained focused, fueled by the warmth and laughter of those embracing the vision before them. Hours passed in a whirlwind of brainstorming and laughter, the garage filled with eager chatter, plans being made. It felt electric. This vision wasn't just about Jack finding his place, it was about the community rising together. For the first time, doubts ebbed, replaced instead with an unwavering sense of purpose. But just as hope surged like the golden rays of a setting sun, Jack felt a chill sweep through the crowd when David sauntered toward them, the remnants of camaraderie stalling in its path. You didn't think you could just steal the spotlight, did you? David sneered, his voice echoing through the garage like a dark, menacing cloud. Jack clenched his fists, yet he felt Sarah's hand firm on his shoulder, the warmth igniting his courage. "This is not about stealing anything, David," Jack said, his voice steady. "This is about unity, about healing." David shrugged, feigning indifference. "Unity? You think they'll take you seriously? You really believe?" He scoffed. With the crowd shifting nervously, Jack gathered every ounce of bravery inside him. "This isn't just about me or my name, this is about people who matter. People who've been overlooked." He stepped forward, ready to confront his past directly. "If you want to challenge that, then step in. Otherwise, just leave us in peace." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, emboldened by Jack's unwavering resolve. Yet despite the momentum, he felt uncertainty seeping back in, that familiar feeling of fear nibbling at the edges. What if he's right? Jack thought. What if all this falls apart? But then Sarah stepped in front of him, and what he saw radiating from her was an undeniable light, a beacon of resilience. "David, you don't get to dictate our worth. We're not stagnant, we're growing." Jack's not running from his past, he's facing it head-on. "And so are we." Her voice was firm, slicing the tension. The crowd edged closer, their support gathering strength like an army rallying against fear. David huffed, ire flashing across his face. But without the support of skeptics surrounding him, he felt the tides turning. "Go find your perfect little life," David spat, his tone slipping into desperation. "You'll never belong here, Jack." Jack straightened, words spilling forth like fire. "You're wrong. I belong here with these people. With Sarah. This is the life I choose, and there's nothing you can do to take that away." In that moment, something clicked. The shadows that seemed so daunting began to recede, pushed back by the brilliance of connection, the clarity of shared purpose. A collective cheer erupted among the crowd, a swell of belief rising like a tidal wave. Feeling empowered, Jack turned to Sarah, their smiles mirroring the hope surging through them. For the first time, he didn't just see the shadows of doubt but the embrace of possibilities. "Together," he said, locking eyes with her, "we'll make this happen. Even if we face storms ahead, we'll navigate them together." Jack felt an exhilarating rush as he squeezed Sarah's hand, affirming that their love was what anchored him now, stronger than any fear of the past. No matter the challenges ahead, he had finally claimed his story not as an heir beholden to a legacy but as a man ready to embrace a future filled with hope. As they stood amid the radiant energy of friendship and aspiration, Jack realized that true wealth lay not in treasures amassed but in the connections forged and the lives touched along the way. This was the moment of clarity, the birth of a new life fueled by love, purpose, and the resilience of community. Rays of sunlight filtered through the garage, enveloping them like a warm embrace. It was time to step forward into the world ahead, where they would not only confront the shadows but illuminate the way for others, transforming struggles into strength. Together, they would shape a future brighter than any opulent life Jack could have inherited. This was their moment and it felt beautiful. Now, if you don't want to miss out on more incredible stories that inspire transformation just like Jack and Sarah's, subscribe immediately to the channel. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. I want to hear from you. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand how important it is to keep this community growing. Let us embrace the journey together.